Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jenny Pike, and I am a power lifter and personal trainer, and I also have a body tempering business.
Very cool. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do with some of the stuff that you do?
Well, mostly I spend a lot of time. I'm a mom also, so when I'm not juggling the kids, I've got my personal training clients that I see about 5 days a week. I'm doing virtual training these days since I relocated to Florida from Colorado. And then right now I'm prepping for a USPA powerlifting meet that will happen end of July. So I'm training about 5 days a week for that. And then recently I rented a space here in the town I live in Melbourne, doing body tempering. So I'm helping people to feel better in my community, hopefully, through that modality. So
Very cool. So, can you tell me how you became a power lifter? What got you interested in that?
what got me interested in powerlifting? Is that your question? Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, um, it's interesting. I was kind of late to the party of weightlifting. I'm one of the rare people who didn't start weightlifting until my late 30s. I'd done a little bit, of gym, bicep curl stuff, nothing ever very serious. I was always more of an endurance type of athlete and played sports growing up, stayed very active. After I had kids, I wasn't able to do the things that I used to do. And the only thing I could do was shove them in child watch at the YMCA. And so I started lifting weights, fell in love with it really, and became a personal trainer. And I just got very interested in kind of barbell lifts. And one of the trainers that was at the gym who'd been kind of training for about 20, 25 years, kind of said to me one day, "You're pretty strong. You should try this. You should do this." And then it was just kind of from then on, he wrote me my first little program that I started following, and I just fell in love with it.
Very cool. So, in becoming a power lifter, did you have a person or persons that you kind of looked up to?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. There's kind of a lag. Can you repeat your question?
Sure, yeah. In becoming a power lifter, did you have somebody that you looked up to?
Did I have somebody to look up to as a power lifter? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, there was Steffi Cohen, was a big one that I looked up to. At the time, she was pretty motivational for me to go through that before she kind of went into the boxing stuff. She was kind of the first woman that I saw out there that was really lifting, heavy weights and doing it strong. And then the deeper you dive into it, you see all kinds of women out there doing amazing things.
Yeah, and it's
So,
it's
so that was probably my first.
it's great to see women getting into the sport of powerlifting and being a part of the strongman competitions and things like that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I have such a bad connection.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very great to see that women are able to do the powerlifting and be a part of the strongman community as well.
Yes, yes, it's very exciting. It's really cool. I don't think when I was growing up, it wasn't something strong, wasn't something women were. You're supposed to be pretty and thin and all the things, and it really was never shown to me as a woman growing up that strong was something I could achieve. And once I kind of started to obtain it, it felt really amazing, kind of better than anything. So I love to see so many women now embracing powerlifting and strongman and just out there killing it and doing incredible things.
Yeah, exactly. So, in the with you doing personal training, how exactly does that work, and what kind of stuff do you offer, like as far as nutrition and things like that?
How does it, the personal training, how does it, what, sorry, it cut out again.
So during your personal training sessions, how do you go about that? What all do you incorporate during the sessions?
Okay, so a lot of my my clients now have been with me for quite a while. So we're kind of in a different place now with them than we used to be. A lot of them are just general population. My youngest client is 13, my oldest is 81. So you've got a lot of people that, that I train that just want to be able to finish out their life and still be able to get off the toilet by themselves. So we focus a lot on the basic movement patterns and making sure that they stay strong in their squats. And, we have them doing their deadlift patterns so they can keep their backs nice and strong. And then you've got, your younger athletes that are still looking to try to figure out what sport they want to compete in. So it just varies so much. And most of my clients are, I would say, general population. And they're so fun to train because, they just don't come with kind of some of the ego and attitude that we that compete that compete do, and they're just really in it to learn and to feel better. And I love that as a goal for people, is just to feel better and to, when you have your clients that say, you'd be really proud of me, I was out lifting bags of dirt and moving rocks this weekend and I did it all and I didn't hurt myself, and just how proud they feel to be able to do these tasks that we take for granted sometimes. I think that is such an amazing thing. So there's no small victories in it when you keep your body healthy and
Definitely.
strong.
What goes into like a nutrition aspect of it? Sure. Yeah.
Can you
What goes
repeat?
into the nutrition aspect of it?
So my thoughts. I have a few certifications in nutrition coaching. I try to keep things very sane and very sustainable for people. I think there's far too many crash diets and just confusion out there for people. And one day something's good for you, and one day it's not. And the thing is, I think that people just throw such bad blanket advice out where people. I try to encourage my clients to find what's going to work for them. You don't have to do keto. You don't have to eat chicken and rice. You don't have to cut out sugar. In fact, I tell them to figure out how to, find energy balance and sustain it. So we're eating enough for what our body needs, but not more. And we're eating things that we like. My main focus for my clients is always, always, always protein. Get enough protein. No one gets enough protein. And they even, because the guidelines we have out there are, I think, a little low for most people. And so as we age, we want to hold on to our bone and muscle mass. And so you have to eat the protein. So I really start there with my clients, and things kind of start to fall into place after that once they start hitting their protein goals. Body composition starts to change. They start to feel better. A lot of them, even kind of lean out a little bit once they focus more on that. So that's kind of my big thing that I push. And I've even had a few vegans that I train, and we still push
Wow.
the same thing.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always curious when talking to powerlifters or strong men or women and nutrition experts, as far as keeping the weight on if you're not training, is there a way to do that to where you don't eat a whole lot?
So I'm sorry, we have such a terrible connection, so it's kind of cutting out. But I think your question was for
Yeah, as
powerlifters
far
keeping
as
the weight
being able
on. What was
to,
the?
I, during the training, I know they have to eat quite a bit to kind of bulk up, but when you're not training,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually right now in kind of a weird situation where I'm trying to cut my weight down a little bit. So I've been training, all my meat prep has been done in a calorie deficit. So that's been interesting. That's the first time I've ever tried to do that. Um, But I just think for me, I just have to, I try to eat at maintenance most of the time, all the time. I just think it's the healthiest way. It's slower gains. I've gotten pretty in tune with my body over the years for what it needs. Sometimes, you eat a little too much and you start to feel, you can see it in your performance and physique and things like that. And so it just kind of depends on where I'm at. But like I said, right now I'm trying to kind of get down into the next weight class lower. So it's all about the deficit right now, which is not as much fun
Yeah, I can
as when
only
we're eating in a
imagine.
surplus.
So, what competitions have you done? What competitions have you done?
Say it again, please. So this will be only my second powerlifting meet that I've done. So the first one I did was in Colorado, and because I'm, you know, a master's lifter, I was able to obtain a deadlift state record there, and which was just awesome. I loved the environment, and I just I knew as somebody who was really get into powerlifting, you have to get up on the platform at least once, like just to see how you can perform when it's time to show up, because either you love it and you got it, or you hate it and you don't ever want to do it again. And I really wanted to know, and after my first meet, I knew this is for me. But it's been about a year, only because there was a cross country move between then and now, and I took a little time off training just to kind of get settled in, and I just felt like I needed the time to get ready to perform well again. But before I did powerlifting, I had run a marathon and done the Spartan races and things like that. I'm just a very competitive person, so it's just always been
Yeah,
my
and
nature.
and that's it's great to see people like yourself excelling in the sport.
Hmm. Right. I'm sorry, was
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
the
Yeah,
connection is just cutting
it's just
out?
great to see people like yourself in the sport and excelling.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think it's gaining a lot of popularity, and I think that's due to social media. And, there's a lot of old school powerlifters who are probably, somewhat annoyed by that, because it brings with it a whole different culture. But I think, like I said, just when people have that exposure to see that, wow, that's something that I can do too, because I'm just a normal person. I haven't been doing it that long, and I really feel like you know, we're getting stronger all the time, and that's not the story that you heard. I'm in my 40s, and I'm supposed to be like slowing down, and I feel like I'm just kind of getting started. And I think that's such a great message to send to people, that it's never too
Exactly.
late to get
Yeah, and are
stronger.
you
So.
training for any competitions coming up? Are you training for any competitions coming up?
What was the question? Yes, I have one coming up here in Florida at the end of July. So July 31st, I'll be competing at the Iron Nightmare, um, down in Fort Pierce, I think
Okay.
it is. And that's a
So, as far as
USPA meet.
the events that you've done, do you have a specific type of lift that you've done?
Yes, I've only competed in the USPA. There's different federations in powerlifting. There's the USAPL. Um, there in here in Florida, it's pretty much this and the and USPA. And I've just kind of always gone towards the USPA for no real reason in particular. I just kind of felt more drawn to the
Okay.
athletes in that
So, as far
federation.
as keeping with the fitness, um, do you have any training advice as far as being able to, if you're a larger person, to kind of lose weight but yet gain muscle mass in a healthy way?
So when people come to me and they say they want to lose weight and gain muscle, it's very hard to do both at the same time. If we're at a place where somebody is needing to drop weight for health reasons, I always suggest we kind of start training. You're going to get stronger. Your body composition is going to change. But really, the only way to lose fat is through a calorie deficit. And I've always kind of ask people to start disassociating diet and exercise. So we lift weights because we want to be strong and we want to feel good. And we're going to change how much we're eating because we want to lose fat. I think when you start saying like, I'm going to exercise to burn off something that I ate, I think we start to get in some real unhealthy patterns there. So what I'll typically do if someone needs to lose a lot of weight is just get them comfortable in the gym. So many people don't feel comfortable and safe in the gym. And so that's the step number one, is to teach them slowly, make sure we're doing movements that feel comfortable at first, and teach them what they're doing, so they can start to build more confidence. And then I find next step is they feel really ready then to get after the diet, because now they're really enjoying exercise and they want to do it better and they want to feel better and be able to move better. So then we start to work on their calories and we just start to kind of figure out where that sweet spot is, where they're starting to lose a little bit of fat here along the way. I always like to kind of go a little bit more at a reasonable pace than those fast 30-day turnarounds you see some people do, just because, again, I always ask them, is this going to be sustainable for you? And I don't typically think that some of those quick fixes generally are. So we want to learn how to eat in a way that we can maintain it.
It does,
and not eat in
yeah.
a way that we're
And
going to fall off the
it's
wagon
kind
and
of
gain it all back, if
interesting
that
to
makes
see all the
sense.
different kind of diets that are out there.
Yeah. I get so disgusted sometimes when I see all the information out there, and you can tell that a lot of it is just clickbait to get people's money, and it's not good sound advice. And, I work with so many people that have like disordered eating patterns, and then they go to people who reinforce those, and it's just not a good, healthy, sound way to do it, in my opinion, of course. Because you might be able to get some weight off, but again, how does that help you if you never really learn how to eat in a way that you can maintain the weight loss? And that's kind of what I try to reinforce with my clients is how do we figure this out? How do we not be afraid of food? How do we learn to eat in a way that nourishes us, but also that we can enjoy?
And I
And
have
then
heard
when you can
that
figure
where
out how
if
to
you
do
lose
that, I
it
think you can
super
maintain a
quick,
healthy body weight
you have a high
long term.
risk of it coming back. Yeah, I've heard that if you try to lose weight really quick, it has a high risk
Can you
of
repeat that?
coming back and gaining the weight back.
And the reason is because if anybody loses weight really rapidly, they've gone to extreme measures to get there. And that's just why I don't do that. I've had people come to me that wanted to lose weight quickly for a wedding in 30 days. And I basically told them, I'm probably not your coach. You should probably, go somewhere else, because I'm not going to strip your diet of everything. I'm not going to cut your calories so low. I don't. And that's for personal reasons. There's nothing wrong with it per se. If that's someone's, we can get you to that weight. But again, I just think that there's just so much in women's culture, I'm speaking kind of specifically to here, where we have, a lot of body dysmorphia. A lot of women have struggled with eating disorders, and I just don't want to be a part of that. Like I said, I just want to do things that are sane and sustainable. And I don't think it's sane to try to lose 30 pounds in a month. Or sustainable. But if you think about it, if you just eat nothing but three chicken breasts a day to lose 20 pounds, well, once that's, you might lose the weight, but are you going to be able to keep it off if that's not
Oh, yeah, and it
sustainable?
only makes
Um,
sense.
so I'm not a fan of those kind of crash diets. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's this whole too culture of like, oh, if I can just cut out this, I'll lose weight. Well, it's not the food. The food isn't what's bad. It's the quantities in which we're eating it. And that's what I think people need to begin to understand. There's nothing that's off limits. There's definitely foods that are going to, enhance your performance and make you feel better and maybe a little bit more healthful as far as their micronutrient profile. But there's no foods that are bad. And I think we just have to stop that boogeyman, because what I found with my clients is if they think that they can't have something, as soon as they do, they eat it all, and then they'll start again tomorrow. And we have this vicious cycle of, I screwed up. Let's kind of now eat the whole bag of chips or whatever it is they said they couldn't have. And then, we'll start again tomorrow. And then it's just, they can't ever get off that hamster wheel until they figure out, like, you can have
Yeah,
some
it's
chips.
all in
They're
the
not,
portion
it's
size
okay.
too, right?
Or sugar or whatever it is that they've demonized that week. Absolutely. It's energy balance. It's like, I'm sure you've heard the saying, it's like you have your checking account, you can't spend more money than what's in your checking account. It's the same thing. Our body is only going to burn so much. And I think that people also really grossly overestimate how many calories they're burning in a workout. It's not as much as people think. We definitely want to eat the protein to recover from the workout and build the muscle and things like that. But that whole also working out to eat massive amounts of food, like for general population, is not going to get you to your goals either. In fact, sometimes people experience a little bit of weight gain, after they start exercising, because your appetite increases quite a bit. And that's just, that's kind of sometimes can happen. But that's again where I tell people, like, don't focus on how many calories you should have on days that you work out versus days you don't, because your body will figure it out. If you're trying to lose weight and you're eating in a calorie deficit, you just maintain that. And then, on days you don't work out, you're probably going to have a little bit more energy to, walk. It's the NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, where you're moving more. Today was a rest day for me, and I found I had a ton more energy. So I burned more calories today because I was up moving around more. Training days,
Definitely.
I'm pretty
And
lazy.
I
So
do have a
it all
question as
has a
far
way of
as
balancing it
diets
out,
go.
because our bodies are really cool
What do
like
you
that.
think of the keto diet as a whole?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm not against it. I've had people who are on it. And again, I say it goes back to what is going to be sustainable for people. My problem with the keto diet is I don't think it's sustainable to actually stay in ketosis. Getting into ketosis is much harder than one would imagine. If you're not monitoring your urine, you don't really know if you're in it or not. And sometimes something as simple as having a piece of fruit can kick you out of it. So I think that people are under the illusion they're on a ketogenic diet when really they may not actually be in ketosis. However, if people find that they can eat in a ketogenic type of way and feel healthful and have energy and be at a desirable weight for themselves, I think that's fantastic. But I hate the dogma of when people get on this, like, this worked for me, therefore it's a miracle. It's really not. All they did was put themselves into a calorie deficit. Um, and as far as the ketogenic, there's some health claims, I think, for certain diseases. I know for Parkinson's, it's been shown to help with that. Maybe. But again, I don't really, for myself, follow any form of like strict eating where there's perimeters around which I can eat, unless there's a state of health that I'm trying to um, kind of, I don't want to say fix, but a couple years ago, I had an incident where I had a reaction to a drug, and my health was just kind of taken out from underneath me in a couple of weeks. I had pain all throughout my body. It was hard to drive, and simple tasks were not easy to do anymore. And so for the next year, one of the things I did to kind of undo some of the damage that it caused in my body and the mitochondria specifically was eat a very specific diet called the Wells Protocol. That I think was called for. It helped me to feel better. It helped my body to heal. Do I need to do that for the rest of my life? I mean, maybe I'd be a lot, healthier, but it's not sustainable for me because you can't go out to eat with your friends. You can't just have a dessert. Having to make sure everything is organic all the time can almost make you neurotic. So, sure, maybe, physically I might be healthier, but mentally I may not be. And I think there's a balance everyone needs to find. And with a ketogenic diet, are you able to go out to dinner with your friends and just kick back and enjoy it without hearing guilt in your head? And so I kind of
Right.
look at it
Yeah. And I
from that
know for
perspective too, as
myself
like an overall
personally,
health thing, not just,
I've been doing
what the scale
kind of like
says.
the carnivore diet, and it's worked. It Oh,
Yeah,
you're fine. I was
yeah.
just gonna say it worked for me.
I think that is another one. I'm sorry if I cut you off. um, yes, I have heard that from so many people. And out of all of the diets, I would say I kind of like that one the best, only because it kind of mirrors how I eat anyway. The closest, I think, building a plate around, a good piece of meat, good quality, whatever it is, or protein, whatever it is, and then, some fruit. That's kind of how I eat naturally. We eat a ton of fruit in our house, and then we make sure that we're always like enforcing protein, even with the kids. Fruit and protein, I don't really force vegetables on them, but at the other side of the spectrum there, I don't want to demonize vegetables either, because I don't know if we have enough. I understand what they're saying about it, but I've also seen the flip side of the argument, kind of showing that vegetables can be good for us too. But yeah, I think again, that's a really great way of eating, because you're getting the seed oils out of your diet. Some of the unhealthy fats, sugars, all those things that aren't really good for us.
Yeah, and I
It's
found
kind of
that when
taking them
I
off the
when
plate,
I
and I think that's
stay
good
on
overall
that,
for health. But,
I stay fuller for
again,
longer,
if
so
it's
I'm not
sustainable for
eating
you, I think
as
it's
much.
awesome. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, and I'm not sure if you know this, but there's something really cool that happens with protein when you eat it. There's a thermogenic effect of the food where your body's actually going to burn a lot more calories to digest it. So that's why it does help you to stay full longer when you're eating a lot of meat. It's like, there's some foods you can just eat forever. Like for me, it's chips or one of those. You could just eat them and never really feel full, but like that doesn't happen. There comes a point in the steak where you're like, okay, I'm done. You start getting the meat sweats. But that is another benefit of that, is the more protein that
Definitely.
the
And it's
actual
it's a
more
for
the more energy your
just
body is going
myself
to use to
personally, it
break
is
that
a
food down. So
sustainable
you're
diet
burning
for
more
me to be
calories at the
on.
end of the day just by what you're eating. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one. I do like that one. I don't prescribe to it myself, but like I said, it just kind of just naturally mirrors the way that we eat in our household, which is just we like a good piece of meat for dinner, and
It
we
was
love
difficult
fruit in
not
this
to do,
house.
not to
I
have
don't know if the
fruit, but I've
variation
gotten
you're on
used to it
includes
now.
fruit. I know some of them do and some of them don't. I could never do the one without fruit because I love it too much.
Oh no, you're fine. It was difficult at first for me not to have the fruit, but it's gotten easier.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
it just mhm, gotten easier. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think that's kind of how it goes. Once you kind of, I think there's just, we have cravings for things at first when you get it out. And I think a lot of it is mental because we don't really
Yeah.
need it. Our body doesn't physiologically need it, but it's a mental thing. And then once you kind of get over that first, it's like, people that have to quit smoking, it's like it's a habit to break it first. And then you just kind of get used to it. And then it becomes your new normal, just to eat that certain way. But yeah, I think I follow, Sean Baker. I think he's awesome, and I like what he's doing a lot. And I think that there's just a lot of benefits for us health wise. I think some of the, you know, it's hard for me sometimes to bite my tongue when I have vegan clients who are proclaiming to me like all the health benefits, just because I believe so strongly in eating good quality beef, especially, but meat, just because again, especially some of my older clients who think that they're really doing themselves a benefit, but you start looking at hip fractures and things like that when they fall, and do they really have that lean muscle mass, and are they eating to support that? Like, can you eat enough chickpeas, to get enough protein? I don't
Definitely.
know. I don't
It's
know. So,
a good
so
thing, I feel
I'm a
anyway.
huge fan of the meat. I love, a meat
So,
diet.
um, oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, and most people notice they feel better. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say again, just I
So,
think a lot of people see
um,
good results
where
in their
can
blood
my
work just
followers
because we're
find
getting rid
you
of
if they
like a lot of
wanted
these
to
seed
reach out
oils
to
and things
you?
like that I mentioned earlier that really aren't good for us. I'm on Instagram at Jenny Pike Fitness. My website is jennypike.com, and that's where they can find me for nutrition coaching. I also decided I would just go on TikTok because they don't seem to be doing all the shadow
Excellent.
banning
Well, I
nonsense that
appreciate
the
you
other
taking time
platforms
out of
are.
your busy
So
schedule
we'll
to
see
chat
how
with
that
me.
goes. But yeah, if anyone wanted to reach out if they have questions, the best place to find me is probably on Instagram or my
Oh, it's
website.
quite all right. I'm sorry about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry we had such
We
a bad
did, yes,
connection
ma'am.
here and I made
And
you
I hope
repeat
you
all
have
your
a great night.
questions.
All right.
That's okay. That's
Thank
okay. That's
you.
okay. We got through it.
Bye bye.
Thank you.